What I'm about to share with you is very personal. Hey guys, this is part 6 of a many part series video that I've been doing on using discernment when seeking a spiritual mentor, and specifically when that person may or may not be a narcissist. So I have had many spiritual mentors over the past 10 years. I've been on my awakening journey since 2012. And in 2013, I started working with a mentor who was actually also a family friend. And this person had been in my life already for 13 years as a friend, but she was a very close friend who was present at weddings, baby births, all kinds of stuff, like really intimate in our lives. And I decided to start working with her in her modern day mystic school. And, I started to realize, I didn't even realize she was a narcissist until I got out 4 years later. So I had no experience with narcissism. I didn't even know what it meant, really. The only thing I noticed is that when she would come over, she would talk about herself for like an hour straight and go on and on with all these fantastical stories and never really ask us how we were doing. And, there was always like all these cool, crazy, fascinating stories with all these synchronicities and all these wonderful things happening. So it really she knew how to suck you into these fantastical stories. It wasn't until much later on that I was working with her in the spiritual capacity that I realized she was doing triangulation, where she would point out one particular person in the group or the class and start saying bad things about that person until that person ultimately would get kicked out. But before she kicked them out, she would make sure that everybody didn't like them or everybody knew what was going on. And then that eventually ended up happening to me. And before that, I always had this feeling like I couldn't do anything right. I went through all 3 levels of her program, and I was a pretty good student, but I always had this feeling like I wasn't good enough, and I couldn't do anything right. And there was always this level of disappointment. Well, I realized later on that that's something that narcissists actually do, because they never want you to feel like you're on the right path or that you're actually doing something good. They always want you to be slightly below them. And so any kind of spotlight on you, or me in that case, was a big no-no. And after I got out of that relationship, my next spiritual mentor had a lot of the same qualities, where the spotlight could never be on me. The spotlight always had to be on her. Not that I wanted it on me, but just a minute. But if any attention was put on me, she would get really uncomfortable. And then eventually she ended up doing triangulation and using her flying monkeys to create really awkward situations and to kind of make me feel like I was on the outside. And it was always came out of left field. It was always like everything was great one day, and then the next day you were on the outs. It was very strange behavior, unpredictable, a lot of mind games, a lot of manipulation, stuff like that. And this person also always created a lot of drama around themselves. They were always in a disharmonious entanglement with somebody. So that's another sign. They like to create drama. They like to have drama around them and stuff like that. So those are just a couple signs that we need to look out for when we're using discernment and finding a spiritual narcissist. But both of those relationships were very painful when they ended. And then I'm going to share more about my third spiritual mentor, who was also a narcissist, because I didn't learn with 1 and 2. I had to go ahead and get a third one. But he was much more subtle, and I think maybe even covert. And that one was a much harder discernment lesson for me. But this video is really long, so I'll share about that in the next video. Thanks.